Hi, and welcome to Very Good Questions about Van Gogh. Today, I'm asking the question, how did Vincent van Gogh get to be so famous? It's hard to believe that Van Gogh's genius was not recognized in his own lifetime. It is often said that he did not sell a single painting. This is not true. He probably sold a couple. He certainly sold The Red Vineyard, which he painted in 1888. But his sales and his fame, while still alive, were as nothing compared to what happened later. He is now one of the most famous characters from his entire century. Try this as a quiz question. How many 19th century figures can you identify simply from their faces? I'm guessing you might recognize a couple of heads of state, Queen Victoria and Abraham Lincoln. You might get Florence Nightingale, but I suspect only if she were holding a lamp. Charles Dickens, perhaps? For the purposes of this quiz, I'm not going to allow Gandhi or Einstein. Technically, they were born in the 19th century, but we'd only recognize their older 20th century faces. But we also have this red-bearded Dutchman, sometimes wearing a straw hat and always painted in loose strokes. If anyone had told Vincent van Gogh that his face would become one of the top 5 most recognizable of his entire century, surely he would have laughed in disbelief. But the fact remains, his face can appear without introduction in an American comedy, Modern Family, in a BBC drama, Doctor Who, or as graffiti on any city street, and people instantly know who he is. So how did this come about? How did Vincent van Gogh get to be so famous? It is the art. Of course, it's the art. Without his paintings, no one would be interested. But art alone is not enough to make him famous all by itself. Towards the very end of Vincent's life, a journalist did write a positive review of his work, but the main person we need to thank for his fame is his sister-in-law, Johanna van Gogh-Bonger. In April 1889, Johanna Bonger married Theo van Gogh, Vincent's brother. Their only child, called Vincent Wilhelm, named after his uncle, was born the following year on the 31st of January 1890. And just for interest, Vincent painted this picture of almond blossoms to celebrate his birth. However, just 1 year later, Johanna found herself facing 2 devastating bereavements. Vincent had shot himself in the chest, dying 2 days later. Her husband Theo had also died, 6 months after his brother. Johanna was left with a baby, an apartment in Paris, a stack of letters, and a couple of 100 canvases painted by Vincent, and at the time all these canvases were deemed financially worthless. In her flat they covered the walls of the bedroom, dining room and sitting room, and to the great distress of her cleaner, many more were stored under the sofas, beds and in every cupboard. Johanna turned this bleakest of situations into a global phenomenon. She worked on every useful contact she had in the art world. She collected and catalogued Vincent's correspondence. She arranged exhibitions. As early as 1892, Dutch newspapers, who had never mentioned Vincent van Gogh before, were starting to repeat his name. In 1905, she organised the first solo exhibition at the Stedelijk Museum in Amsterdam, where 400 of his works, both paintings and drawings, were seen by over 2,000 paying visitors. It is no exaggeration to say that without the determination and dedication of Johanna van Gogh-Bonger, her brother-in-law, Vincent, would never have become so famous. Thank you for watching. I hope that this goes some way to explain how Vincent van Gogh managed to become so famous. Please subscribe if you'd like to be alerted as new videos arrive. I find Vincent van Gogh endlessly fascinating. If you do too, you might be interested in this book, Vincent van Gogh and the Good Samaritan, The Wounded Painter's Journey, which is available as of November 2021, published by Darton, Longman and Todd.